This video is sponsored by Squarespace. YouTube Red, or better known as We're Trying to Be Netflix, has been around for a bit now, and I think it's safe to say that no one really gives a shit. Good Game came out, starring the Game Grumps, and was produced by Dan Harmon, and none of us watched it, and is now cancelled. Smosh made a movie, and everyone was like, what? I don't want to watch this shit. And Logan Paul was in The Finnening. But now, surprisingly, YouTube Red has made a show that's not just good, but apparently it's fucking incredible. 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, 9 out of 10 on IMDb, and that's a higher rating than the one for Stranger Things. And it's not like it's got 10 reviews by a handful of losers. Over 10,000 people think this show is the shit. More people watch this show than Netflix's Lost in Space. Oh, that must sting, Reed Hastings, CEO of Netflix. Fuck you, YouTube Red is driving this cash cow all the way to Moneytropolis. But this leaves us with the question, could this sequel to Karate Kid be the Citizen Kane of YouTube Red shows? Let's peep this out. Even if you haven't seen Karate Kid, you've definitely seen Karate Kid. Lovely New Jersey kid moves into town, he gets bullied, he has a crush on a girl, he gets bullied even more, an old man trains him in karate, where he beats up the bullies, he wins the tournament, he gets the girl, congratulations, now you're the Karate Kid.
Ich, knee, song, she, come on everybody train karate.
This is your classic 3-act structure good vs evil 80s sports movie, where the loser relatable underdog becomes an unstoppable tank. The antagonist bully also does karate, because I guess karate just seems to be the trendy thing to do.
Ich, knee, song, she, come on everybody train karate.
He trains in the Cobra Kai school, who follow the philosophy of strike hard, strike first, no mercy, zig heil. They cheat, they're aggressive, and the teacher is downright abusive. They're shown to be entirely unredeemable. But you already know what the fuck Karate Kid is. But what the fuck is Cobra Kai? Well, this is the continuation of Karate Kid, 34 years later. And straight off the bat, I'm amazed that this show even exists. It has the two original actors who are now middle-aged.
Kicks get chicks.
They're way past their prime and they've had no major acting work since the original film. I'm so glad this show was successful, because if it hadn't have done well, each of them would have had to go home, sit down with their wife and children, look them dead in the eyes and say, listen, it fell through. I'm so sorry. I really fucked up. The plot is very similar to the original movie, except this time they flip the darn thing on its head. The over-the-top 80s villain is now our multi-dimensional protagonist. And by multi-dimensional, I mean a raging alcoholic loser who hates immigrants.
Hey, I'm Miguel. My family and I just moved into 109.
Great, more immigrants.
My hero. LaRusso owns a car dealership and is a bit of a smug cunt. His face is plastered all over LA and it's giving Johnny Lawrence major Karate Kid flashbacks. I hope I don't need to tell you why this is really funny. So, is Cobra Kai just Karate Kid again, with the protagonist and antagonist swapped over? Well, kind of. It introduces this underdog dweeb who is bullied by jocks, and Johnny Lawrence steps in and becomes the Mr. Miyagi figure, except Johnny Lawrence is the antithesis of everything Mr. Miyagi stood for.
Karate for defense only.
And the best defense is more offense.
LaRusso sees Cobra Kai is back up again and gets majorly triggered. This reignites the iconic rivalry of LaRusso and Lawrence.
Get your house in order, LaRusso.
Who the hell do you think you're talking to?
Bathroom's clean.
And it fuels LaRusso to train his own student. But I don't want to give away too much plot, because who am I to ruin a critically acclaimed show? You might be shocked to hear that Cobra Kai is not high art. It is a corny, dumb show that fails continuously. Strangely, the dialogue in the original Karate Kid is better than the 2018 drama series. It seems like they've taken the hammy dialogue of the 80s and just turned it up a little too much, to a point where it doesn't quite work and everyone speaks like they're not quite human. This means that scenes we're supposed to take seriously become unintentionally hilarious.
Are you sure you're ready? Because once you go down this path, there's no turning back.
You're gonna be my karate teacher?
No. I'm gonna be your sensei.
You're the best
But when they actually try to be funny, it completely falls flat.
Is he wearing my bathing suit? Wait, are all of you guys wearing my bathing suits? All right, listen, party's over. Let's go. Take the suits off and leave. No, not out here, genius.
The scene is trying to make you laugh, and it does, but not in the way it intended to. Cobra Kai is full of scenes like this. It's taken even further when you see the way that Ralph Macchio plays LaRusso. He's first introduced to us in this car commercial, and initially you think he's hamming it up because of the context of the commercial. But later you realize that this is how he acts in every scene, and that the Karate Kid we have grown up with has been replaced by an overly friendly alien wearing his skin.
Hey, Mr. Miyagi. I've been thinking about you a lot lately. I know it's been a few months, but I feel like lately I've let my anger take control. When I was a kid, you really wish you could be. Better late than never, right?
Johnny Lawrence is actually surprisingly shit as well. He performs his character with a sense of poutiness and raspiness. Sort of like he thinks he's a great actor, but he's really toned down and unemotive. He also mumbles a lot of his lines, which are supposed to be taken as impactful.
I've lived in this shithole for over 10 years. Pipes don't work, the fountain's full of piss. And the only good thing about being here is I don't have to talk to anybody.
This show also does something I really hate in television, which is get teenagers really, really wrong. They don't talk, act, or even look like real kids. Why are you wearing a fucking summer dress to school like that? What are you, a mum? The jocks bully the nerds really blatantly in a garish, over-the-top manner, seemingly for no real or justified reason. It's the same bullying that you've seen in every teenage story for the last 40 years, and I'm so sick of it. If I was one of those kids, I'd just smash the bully's face in with a mug. All the teenagers at the high school look like they're in their late 20s, apart from this guy who looks like 32. Now, obviously from the footage, you can easily tell how cheap and bland Cobra Kai looks. Everything is grey and washed out, there's nothing dynamic when it comes to the camera work. I seriously doubt this is a deliberate stylistic choice, as Cobra Kai isn't a gritty, bleak narrative grounded in realism. This is a continuation of fucking Karate Kid, a film which is brimming with character through its cinematography, lighting and sets. If you want to tell me that this series looks like garbage because of its low budget, then I would tell you to go watch El Mariachi, a film made on basically nothing, and realise how fucking wrong you are. But I guess they probably just spent most of their budget on plastic surgery. Another thing that's properly weird about Cobra Kai is that it has this anti-PC, anti-SJW theme underlaying it consistently. Johnny Lawrence as our protagonist is a fully conservative alpha male type who doesn't like immigrants, doesn't believe in feminism or gender politics, and genuinely believes that the best way to resolve any type of conflict is by punching it in the face.
There's a lifetime ban on Cobra Kai from entering the tournament.
What? You gotta fight this.
You're right. I'm gonna go down there and beat their asses.
No.
It's confusing to determine whether the show itself politically aligns with this conservative view of the world, or if it's just simply the view of Johnny Lawrence. There are moments when Cobra Kai seems to criticize the stereotypical view of the left, completely outside of Johnny Lawrence.
While we're all looking forward to the Halloween dance, let's make sure our costumes are culturally sensitive. For example, instead of sexy nurse, maybe try gender-neutral hospital employee.
However, this isn't a criticism of the show. These ideals are very rarely seen on TV, and Cobra Kai took a risk by incorporating this commentary into the writing. This isn't something that's displayed as black and white either. His aggressive strike-first mentality is shown to be advantageous to his lifestyle and to the students he teaches, but is also shown to be detrimental, as it alienates a lot of people and could be considered as immoral. By the end of the series, Johnny Lawrence is not the same man he was before, and his ideals have changed. He has become more tolerant and less aggressive. Simultaneously, LaRusso, who was taught to only use karate in self-defense, to be balanced and non-confrontational, is consistently being prodded by people who keep fucking with him. As the show goes on, he starts to become more assertive, aggressive, and less like a general pussy. General Pussy here, reporting for duty. I suggest we run away, or failing that, surrender and apologize promptly. So, you have one character learning to be more forgiving, tolerant, and less of a macho dickwad, and the other character learning to take control of his life and stand up for himself. The two characters that are in direct conflict each go through an arc that mirror each other, which in terms of narrative structure is really intelligent. So, Cobra Kai is actually quite good. Now, you might be wondering why I love this show, after talking about how wooden the acting is, how cheap it looks, and how overall dumb it is. Well, amongst the aspects that fail around Cobra Kai, there are a number of elements to this show that are well thought out and lead to some proper engaging storytelling. Despite the characters being presented to us in a way that makes them all feel like robots, it's undeniable that there's a lot of varied and defined characters in this show. They each have core philosophies and ideologies that separate them from others, and these philosophies that the characters represent inform their actions. Everyone has traits that you can connect with and root for, as well as aspects that make them flawed. There isn't an awesome cool guy in Cobra Kai, everyone is pretty much a vulgar and slightly pathetic loser. When characters are in conflict, you're able to empathize with all of them and understand their viewpoint. These moments of conflict are high in emotional stakes, as you can no longer define who it is you want to succeed, just like in Game of Thrones. However, unlike Game of Thrones, there isn't any filler in Cobra Kai. Each episode is a tight half hour, and every scene will contribute to the story in a way that gives the viewing experience real pace. Even if you're completely disgusted by the poor scene construction and performances, if you are even slightly invested in this bizarre story, that will be enough for you to keep watching all the way to the end, as you are briskly swept along from scene to scene and brought deeper into the surprisingly layered storytelling. Oh, and the cliffhangers are like deep fried pig feet. They always leave you wanting more. But if you don't take Cobra Kai too seriously, you're going to find a great deal of entertainment in the failings of it. They regurgitate conventions and throw generic one-liners at you in such a heavy-handed way that you can't help but laugh at how dumb this show can get. Nothing says so bad it's good more than a completely serious, dramatic scene in which Johnny Lawrence gets so angry at his old karate rival that he smashes his bonsai tree. The show gives you such low expectations that when it does decide to break narrative conventions and surprise you with something actually interesting, you become fully invested in the story as it happens. The show is never quite what you think it is, and there's plenty of twists and turns along the way, as well as inciting commentary on the original film. You end up being pleasantly surprised, as Cobra Kai regularly shows itself as being more than what you give it credit for. So start giving it more credit, guys. But not that much credit. That's a bit too much credit. Just like a little bit of credit. Because it is still shit in a lot of ways. However, the things that make it shit aren't like boring shit. It's shit in a charming way. I recommend watching Cobra Kai all in one sitting with a bunch of drinks and your friends. That's how I did it, and I have never laughed so hard. You'll find yourself cheering as some character comes out with yet again a hilariously written and poorly delivered line of dialogue. You'll take great joy in trying to predict where the story is going. It gives you a perfect mix of hilariously bad with an engaging narrative, nuanced themes, and really well choreographed fight sequences. Ultimately, the reason I think the show is so well reviewed and enjoyed is because it takes risks with its ideas and characters. They could have given us a straightforward Karate Kid television series which follows the same beats note for note, but instead they gave us something that subverted the original film's ideology. Cobra Kai shows us that there's no such thing as good versus evil. It addresses ideas around bullying in a refreshing way, and also has a lot to say about masculinity in 2018. It does all this while being a soap opera with karate, which makes it even more unique and perplexing. This show isn't a cash grab. It's not YouTube Red trying to use a franchise to finger your wallet. There's clearly a lot of passion and enthusiasm in this show. The creators had a story they were dying to tell so badly that they were willing to make it with YouTube Red, probably after Netflix said no. Cobra Kai is lightning in a bottle. There are so many aspects that shouldn't work, but they somehow managed to fit together into something cohesive, resulting in an entirely unique experience that sets itself apart through earnestly being the best it can be. But what do you think of Cobra Kai? Let me know down below, or try to tell me about your experience with YouTube Red. If you enjoyed this video, please press all the buttons and look at my Twitter. But don't forget about Squarespace. Why would you want to forget about Squarespace? Squarespace is an all-in-one platform which offers easy to use and customizable templates, allowing you to construct the website that's perfectly suited to you. You don't even got to install, patch, or upgrade anything ever. And with that award-winning 24/7 customer service, you know you're in safe hands. So don't be a square, head over to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/NitPix to save 10% off your first purchase. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this one. Bye, guys. See, even that sounds like shit.
Keep that one in.
I just can't say bye. I'm not a human.